Our story begins in South Korea, at a time when there was a mix between monarchy and republican rule. The royal family still had a presence, dignity, and respect. Everything was preserved, but it was like an antique, just for show. That's because real power was in the hands of the republican system. In a noble school, students from the royal family, we see a student looking at his results proudly and getting arrogant about himself. Meanwhile, our girl Rowan, who comes from a normal family but entered the noble school as an exception, got first place, while he came second. At that moment, she goes to him and says, "Didn't I tell you arrogance has a bad ending? The day will come when I'll put that nose of yours that's always up in the sky into the mud." From their challenging looks, it's clear both of them are extremely competitive and can't stand each other at all. But between us, that guy is a rude kid with no taste. He gets furious that a girl scored higher than him, so he insults her by saying she is an illegitimate child to ruin her victory. But that doesn't happen, because our girl is a queen and such words don't affect her. In a second, she flips the table on him and says, "Hey Coco, are you seriously saying that? I used to think you were just a joke, and that because you're from nobility your mother taught you manners. But anyway, here we are, we've learned not everyone who is born is properly raised." And so she walks away with her head held high saying, "Oh earth, open up and swallow me," while he stands there wishing for the ground to swallow him. After a few years, we see her grown up, now the CEO of a huge company. But she's still the same sharp-tongued girl. She's scolding her employees as if they completely ruined an advertising campaign for her clothing brand, which failed. Because our girl's mind never rests, she takes advantage of an invitation to a royal family party. She wears a red outfit from her new collection, planning to promote it through the press at the event. The plan is that instead of spending money on marketing, journalists at the party will promote her outfit. And between us, her outfit is red, and red is forbidden for guests under royal palace protocol. So chaos will break out because she broke the rules, her photos will spread everywhere, and the outfit will become a huge hit. And that's exactly what happens. Within 5 minutes of her arrival, social media explodes over her look and beauty, and sales start increasing noticeably. At the party, some gossiping women, who are everywhere these days, see her and say, "Isn't that the illegitimate daughter of businessman Chang?" Another says, "What's wrong with her? She acts so full of herself." She hears them, breaks her drink glass, and with a wicked smile says, "Good evening, you pale faces, one insult from me to all of you." With just one look, they get scared and run away. We are then introduced to the king, a small cute boy. And Prince Yen arrives at the party. This is the charismatic one everyone's eye is on. He is also the king's uncle and looks exactly like our heroine in stubbornness. His personality is just as rigid as hers. He arrives wearing hunting clothes, and the queen mother sees him and completely loses her temper. She starts scolding him harshly until he says, "Enough," not in front of the guests. Later, the prime minister greets our heroine because he was her friend since school days. Because sarcasm runs in her blood, she says, "Do you think you're Barbie dressed in pink flowers like that?" And they tease each other while laughing. She then tries to find signal on her phone and accidentally goes into a restricted area for guests. And unlucky her, she gets caught by the prince, who starts teasing her. Before she gets into trouble, she says, "I'm not a spy or involved in World War III, I was just trying to get signal." The prince reveals he went to the same school as her and says jokingly he'll question her. Before he finishes, a loud explosion is heard. He runs toward the hall, and when he arrives, everything is on fire and chaos everywhere. Queen Sophia slaps him and screams, "Where is my son? Did you kill him like his father?" But in seconds, the child appears saying, "I'm here, Mom, I'm fine." She hugs him tightly. We learn that 3 years ago, the queen's husband, the king, died in a fire, which is why she is extremely protective of her son. The next day, she goes to apologize to the prince for the slap, not because she is truly sorry, but to avoid interrogation. The prime minister was planning a meeting to punish her, because no one is allowed to raise a hand against the prince. The prince knows her apology is fake but accepts it anyway for the sake of the king. The queen is also afraid the prince might take power from her son since he is the guardian. So she decides to control him by forcing him to marry. Meanwhile, the heroine's father also wants to get rid of her by marrying her off. Her assistant defends the employees, saying they shouldn't be punished for everything. She sends her a list of potential husbands, but none of them are good enough for her. Eventually the assistant asks, "What do you even want?" She replies, "Simple, extremely rich, political, handsome." Then she suddenly gets an idea, "Why don't I marry Yen?" The assistant warns her not to say that to anyone or they'll think she's crazy. But she already emails him asking to meet. She is extremely confident he will accept immediately. But he refuses to meet her at first, so she gets angry and puts him on her blacklist. Her ego pushes her to say she would never marry him even if he were the last man on earth. She keeps emailing him repeatedly, asking to meet, getting rejected every time. Eventually she changes her approach, pretending she needs advice as a former schoolmate. He finally agrees to meet, curious but suspicious. She suddenly proposes marriage. He laughs and asks why he should choose her among all others. She lists reasons: she is rich, will protect him, and is not greedy. She says she only has one annoying brother who is harmless, and she could even be his shield. She says she has built immunity against insults and bullying, so nothing affects her anymore. At that moment, the assistant interrupts and she quickly stops talking. The next day, the assistant sees her smiling and gets suspicious. She says Yen rejected her, but she won't give up and will definitely marry him. Meanwhile, the prince's assistant tells him everything. He gets jealous and angry. The queen mother reflects on past memories. She recalls that her husband once wanted to leave the throne to the prince instead of her son. She burned the will and swore he would never take power. She declares she will never give up power and removes her husband. She destroys him, implying she caused his death. The important thing is that at the present time there is an awards ceremony for the country's businessmen and businesswomen. The king is supposed to personally honor them. So she tells him she is not sending Yen with him and wants him to prove he can make his own decisions without relying on Yen. The prince is worried about the young king, seeing him as inexperienced and anxious about going on stage alone. In the end, he agrees and goes to the ceremony. When he sees the boy nervous under the cameras, he holds his hand to reassure him. The heroine then seizes the opportunity and gets the king to personally place the crown of honor on her. She also teases the prince, confusing him and making him flustered. The prime minister sees her photos and smiles, inviting her to lunch and recalling their past training days in archery, where she helped him improve. He can't take his eyes off her and is clearly in love. At night, the heroine accidentally meets the prince's assistant, who tells her Yen is sick. She quickly calls a doctor, confirms his condition, and asks him not to tell anyone. She then eats calmly with the assistant as if nothing serious is happening. The assistant realizes the queen mother is about to arrive and hides her in the bathroom. The queen mother enters and behaves as if she owns the place. She sees the prince shirtless, gets embarrassed, and leaves the room. She then notices a woman's bag and realizes he is not alone. She goes back in and discovers the heroine inside the room, leading to a misunderstanding. She scolds the prince and threatens punishment the next day. The next morning, the heroine is told to stay in the hotel after rumors spread online claiming she is involved with the prince and even pregnant. Instead of being upset, she laughs at the situation. It turns out the queen mother spread the rumors to destroy her reputation. That evening, the prince meets her and apologizes. She calmly says nothing affects her. She reminds him of their archery competition and how he let her win. She explains she only wants his status to protect herself from her family forcing her into a political marriage. He surprises her by agreeing to marry her. They agree to a contract marriage for 3 years. The next day they publicly announce their engagement. At night, they stay in the same palace suite. The nanny protests, but the prince insists it's necessary. In reality, they argue over the blanket and space on the bed. The next morning, she arrives at work in the same clothes, causing suspicion. She admits she loves him, while the Prime Minister silently suffers. Students attack her outside her residence, and her father scolds her for the engagement. We learn her family history is complicated and emotionally damaged. The prince takes care of her and brings her to the palace. Later, she is accused of being involved in a fire, but he protects her. They investigate sabotage attempts against her life. She is nearly framed again, but he saves her. Their bond grows stronger despite political pressure. Eventually, she confesses feelings indirectly and kisses him, pretending it's only to reassure him. He admits he is also emotionally affected. They continue pretending while slowly falling for each other. Jealousy grows around them, especially from the Prime Minister. Later, an explosion occurs during a ceremony, and the prince is injured. She rushes into danger to save him, and he is deeply shaken by her sacrifice. Investigations reveal poisoning attempts and internal palace conspiracies. The true culprits are exposed, including political manipulation and betrayal. In the end, the prince becomes king and announces he will abolish the monarchy. Despite opposition, he follows through with his decision. 3 years later, the heroine returns to her company leadership. Family misunderstandings are resolved, and truth about past conflicts is revealed. The palace is turned into a museum. They attend a football match together with their friends. But our daughter is teaching him a lesson about love, that whoever truly loves, the moment he finds her and she gets hurt, he stands up to defend her, just like he did with the cat, not pushing her away. And when she leaves, and our son calls her, he tells her to accept the invitation. He's planning to announce their separation so no one hurts her again. So she tells him, if he insists, fine. She decides not to try with him again as long as he's stubborn and set in his mind that separation is the best solution. On the engagement day, even though she was supposed to wear traditional clothing, she shows up in normal clothes, which enrages Lady Safra. At night, there's a small celebration. Our son delivers a shock to Lady Safra. He enters and, without hesitation, takes our daughter and starts dancing with her openly in front of all the guests. The Prime Minister is furious too. Lady Safra tells him that Yen decided to break up with Rowan and that he's just dancing a farewell dance with her, but she doesn't even finish her sentence when our son suddenly kneels and proposes to our daughter, offering her a diamond ring. Our daughter, like everyone else, is shocked, but she becomes extremely happy and immediately agrees. Our son then takes advantage of the king's presence at the event and asks him to approve their relationship, because if the king agrees, then the Prime Minister and the rest of the royal court won't be able to object. As expected, the king agrees, while Lady Safra stands there staring at them angrily, promising revenge later. Our son then asks our daughter for a dance and tells her to stop trying to sabotage the marriage. He hints that she changed her husband's will after his death. This shocks her and makes her fear exposure. After the party, the two stand together briefly. She closes her eyes, enjoying the breeze, while he gets lost in her beauty and gently touches her hair, creating a tense romantic moment between them. The next day, Lady Safra's father objects to the marriage and tries to pressure the king to change his decision. Safra refuses, saying Yen knows about the changed will, leaving her no choice but to accept the marriage. Meanwhile, our daughter's father asks his son's wife to have her noble father secretly help place someone in the palace to protect Rowan from afar after marriage. Her father continues scolding her, though deep down he worries about her. That same day, she returns to live in the prince's palace. The servants like her, which makes her happy, but she doesn't even get to change her clothes. Even her husband tells her to return to her room, but she protests, asking if she's a toy to be moved around. He then reveals one of her maids is spying on her, reporting everything. Her friend suggests she should stay in the palace under protection so the maid cannot eavesdrop. He agrees. The next day, he learns the Prime Minister knows about his motives regarding the marriage and wrongly believes the girl revealed everything. He pressures her until she starts teasing him back. Eventually, they agree to a marriage contract that includes a clause that none of their secrets will be revealed. When Lady Saphra arrives, they pretend to be a loving couple, holding hands. She invites them to lunch. The daughter agrees not to embarrass her, but Saphra begins insulting them indirectly. The daughter fires back and leaves with her husband. He then takes her out to change her mood. He drives her to the port. She tells him to relax and forget he's a prince. She learns he suffers from seasickness and jokingly pricks his finger. She then stands on the yacht enjoying herself. He panics and rushes to stop her, but ends up falling with her. In a chaotic moment, he hugs her tightly and kisses her. Instead of resisting, she kisses him back, and they lose control of their emotions. When they return, both are embarrassed and the servants question them. That night, she struggles emotionally, unable to accept that she might be in love. He, on the other hand, is extremely happy and cannot stop smiling. The next day, she tries to avoid him but runs into him. He catches her from falling, and she starts overthinking again, imagining feelings she refuses to admit. She then runs away, pretending to go to work, but instead goes to a priest and claims she must be possessed because she kissed him. The priest dismisses her. She later meets the Prime Minister, who offers her a ride. Her husband hears his voice on the phone and immediately becomes jealous. Rumors begin spreading. At the palace, she is forced to try on wedding clothes and becomes extremely nervous around him. He notices and teases her, asking if she's still thinking about what happened between them. She denies everything, saying it meant nothing, but he insists she only reacted that way because she felt something. Meanwhile, Lady Saphra recalls her past. She caused the fire that killed her husband after burning a will that named Yen as heir. The burned will is shown, though the prince has not yet used it to claim the throne. The next day, they visit her father as part of wedding traditions. He advises the prince to take care of her, which upsets her and she storms off. He follows her, and after emotional tension, he confesses he tried to suppress his feelings but failed since she entered his life. She is confused and overwhelmed. He then tells her he has no intention of divorcing her. Later at the palace, he whispers that he wishes he could stay with her, but it is forbidden. She pretends she doesn't care but is secretly happy. He warns the Prime Minister to stay away from her. Meanwhile, tension grows as the Prime Minister becomes jealous and manipulative. She is later poisoned before the wedding. She collapses and is taken to the hospital, where doctors confirm poisoning from heart medication. She could have died if she arrived later. The prince investigates and realizes the attack was meant for him. He admits he sometimes takes that medication, meaning the culprit is someone close to him. Suspicion grows. Lady Saphra initially appears kind, but the prince limits her involvement in caring for the girl. He also strengthens security around her. He later confirms he knows about the poisoning attempt. The girl becomes emotional and jokes with him despite everything. He comes out of the shower, creating an awkward romantic moment. Their relationship deepens further. Journalists later storm the palace, spreading rumors that their marriage contract is fake. The situation escalates, with accusations including murder and political manipulation. Public unrest grows. A crisis meeting is held. The Prime Minister pushes for the prince to be removed. It is revealed Saphra's father orchestrated the poisoning and political manipulation. The Prime Minister also helped spread the contract leak. Eventually, the truth is exposed. The Prime Minister is arrested. The prince becomes king but announces he will abolish the monarchy, shocking everyone. Political chaos follows. Saphra disowns her father. The prince officially takes power but insists on ending the monarchy system. Years later, the girl returns as head of her company. Her relationship with her father is repaired, as he admits he never hated her and only acted out of fear and protection. The palace is later turned into a museum. In the final scenes, the group reunites and attends a football match together. The assistant and the biscuit girl also develop their own relationship. The story ends with a message that power and wealth shape lives, but also create enemies who wait for the right moment to destroy others. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more episodes like this.